Rachel Maddow went to Dick Cheney's funeral yesterday. We can do this, people. It's Thanksgiving. Do yourself a favor, get over yourself, and go have it with your family.
The far left is now directing its nonstop criticism toward Thanksgiving, and many people find it increasingly troubling. They previously complained about Halloween and even Father's Day, and now Thanksgiving is their new target. Bill Maher, using his usual sharp humor, called them out for trying to spoil traditions that people enjoy. There's a lot to discuss.
Happy Thanksgiving. I can't believe that even that now is a political issue. It is a real shame what's happened to this holiday, which used to be all about the good F's: food, friends, family, football, fun. And now it's you. You're not even invited because you voted for the wrong person. I'm so tired of liberals ghosting half this country. Conservatives do it too, but not nearly as much. Look, whoever's doing it, it's gotta stop, because we're at a point now where politics has broken up more families than letting your wife see your phone.
You may have seen this clip before, but the message behind it is much bigger. Ma points out how the far left keeps attacking Thanksgiving, even though it's a holiday meant to bring people together. He suggests they only want to celebrate if everyone at the table agrees with their views, turning a warm, family moment into a political test. Ma highlights how unreasonable this thinking is and reminds us that Thanksgiving should be about appreciating loved ones, enjoying time together, and sharing a peaceful meal. It isn't meant to be a place for judging beliefs or forcing strict political rules on anyone.
Now, on the liberal side, there's two camps now. The we need to keep talking to people wing and the go no contact wing. That's what they call it now, go no contact. This belief that Trump voters, even if it's your own parents, are too deplorable for human contact and must be cut off. You know, like Scientologists do to suppressive people. A former speechwriter for Obama named David Litt wrote an op-ed this year called, "Is it time to stop snubbing your right-wing family?" where he admitted he'd had a change of heart and that was the wrong approach. So of course then the woke wing tried to banish him for breaking ranks on their policy of hating people who don't agree with you on everything, because what fun is life if you're not cutting somebody off?
The far-left group often finds problems in almost everything, turning simple celebrations into arguments. They call Father's Day a way of supporting patriarchy, and during Halloween, they claimed many costumes were offensive. Now they're targeting Thanksgiving, saying it forces them to sit with people who think differently. Some even argue there's nothing worth appreciating, ignoring the fact that this day is about gratitude, family, and coming together. Their constant criticism turns holidays meant to unite people into reasons for conflict. It shows how easily joyful traditions can be dragged into political debates instead of remaining moments of shared warmth and happiness.
Molly McNerney, Jimmy Kimmel's wife and head writer, went public on this topic recently, so I feel it's fair to comment respectfully in public. She says she's lost relationships with relatives because she wrote them an email before the election with 10 reasons why they shouldn't vote for Trump, and some still didn't obey. So, you know, 10 reasons. I could think of 100. But I would never present it to someone as an ultimatum. Ultimatums don't make people rethink their politics, they make them rethink you.
And it's true. Telling people to avoid Thanksgiving just because you're upset or disagree with others says more about your attitude than the holiday itself. It quietly shows your character without needing any explanation. Thanksgiving is supposed to be a moment for gratitude, calm reflection, and bonding with loved ones. Yet some allow their beliefs to overshadow basic kindness. What does it say about our culture when sharing a meal becomes impossible simply due to different viewpoints? Ma's point is clear. Appreciation should never come with conditions, and turning Thanksgiving into a political test reveals bitterness rather than any real sense of principle or goodness.
Somewhere along the way, my values became code for I'm the only one with a moral compass. You know what would have been a better exercise? Write a top 10 list to yourself where you try to imagine 10 reasons why 77 million Americans didn't want to trust you with taking power. And I say that as someone who votes Democratic. As I like to remind my very pure friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
And that's true. When Trump was president, almost half the country strongly supported him and believed in his plans. But no election will ever have everyone agreeing on one leader, and expecting total unity is unrealistic. People will always see the world differently, and that's normal. That's why it's important to respect other viewpoints, even when they don't match our own. Open discussion and honest disagreement are part of how a democracy grows. Instead of attacking people for their political choices, we should recognize that every nation is made up of many voices, and listening to them helps create healthier conversations.
Do you really not get it at this point? Everything with him is done through personal relationships. He's a people guy. Trust me, he's not at home at night poring over the briefing books. This is government by people is saying. If anything, we need more people like me having dinner with him. You complain he's surrounded by ass-kissers, but your strategy is to make sure no one but ass-kissers are around him? You are not serious people.
Many left-leaning critics seem especially upset and ungrateful this Thanksgiving, and the main reason is straightforward: Trump is in office. His presence alone sends some of them into frustration, and instead of handling political disappointment with maturity, they turn him into an exaggerated villain and spend their time attacking him. They mock his personality, magnify his mistakes, and act as if he represents every problem in the country. Yet despite all their outrage, many of them understand surprisingly little about his actual beliefs, goals, or decisions as president. Their anger is loud but often emotional rather than informed. Instead of separating their personal feelings from a national holiday, they let their frustration overshadow a day meant for gratitude, family, and calm reflection. Rather than slowing down and appreciating the moment or simply getting through the day peacefully, they choose resentment. In the end, their reactions reveal more about their mindset than about Trump himself.
Rachel Maddow went to Dick Cheney's funeral yesterday. We can do this, people. It's Thanksgiving. Do yourself a favor, get over yourself, and go have it with your family.
Yes, it's Thanksgiving, and nothing stops you from talking about your differences, especially when the conversation is calm and respectful. That's part of what makes family gatherings meaningful. You can disagree, argue a little, and still enjoy the same table while appreciating the people around you. It's much healthier than cutting off relatives just because you dislike their vote or their opinions. That reaction isn't strength or principle, it's emotional and unhelpful. Thanksgiving is meant to rise above politics. It's a chance to slow down, reconnect, and remember what still brings us together in a divided time. Walking away from that because of an election shows how easily political tension can override real relationships. Mature people can hear views they don't share, stay civil, and still find reasons to be thankful. When you skip the holiday over politics, you're not making a powerful stand, you're letting frustration outrank family, gratitude, and tradition.
Don't be a hypocrite and defend attacks on speech from the left, because you either get the concept or you don't. And sadly, a lot of people don't anymore. Yes, mostly the young who were never taught it by their derelict educational system. But also Lisa Cook. She's the Fed board member Trump is trying to fire for bullshit reasons, and they are bullshit. But when she tried to get another professor fired because he once, according to one student, was less than rapturous about Martin Luther King Day, no, she should know better. She said free speech should have its limits. Yes, it should, and does. And this comes nowhere close to them.
The issue goes far beyond holidays. Many people on the left have developed a strong resistance to free speech, and the moment you share a view that doesn't match their beliefs, the reaction often becomes extreme. Instead of having a normal debate, they organize against you. They try to cancel you, attach labels to your name, and create an environment where speaking honestly feels dangerous. It stops being a discussion of ideas and turns into punishment. Strangers online may dig through your history, shame you publicly, and push companies or schools to respond. Sometimes this pressure even reaches workplaces, turning simple disagreements into threats to your reputation. And in the most extreme cases, some may even encourage your friends or partner to distance themselves from you. This isn't open-mindedness or progress. It's pressure disguised as virtue. Instead of supporting real diversity of thought, they use outrage to silence anyone who disagrees, leaving people afraid to speak or think freely.
But it also can't become what the UK is now, a place where you get arrested for tweets, something that happens 12,000 times a year now in Britain. Last week, the Irish sitcom writer Graham Linehan, who's won an Emmy and 5 BAFTA awards, got off a plane at Heathrow and got arrested by 5 British cops. Not because he was selling drones to the Houthis, just because he's a crank who spends way too much time online ranting about gender ideology, which is an odd obsession for a comedian from across the pond, because if men weren't allowed to dress as women, British comedy wouldn't exist.
Some people believe America might have faced the same problems Britain is dealing with now if the DNC had stayed in power. In the UK, we're already seeing a strange situation where individuals get arrested for online posts, jokes, or comments that someone finds offensive. Critics argue that Democrats were moving in that direction as well, and possibly at a faster pace. If they had continued leading, many worry that speech restrictions could have grown tighter, with the government increasing its scrutiny of anyone expressing views outside the accepted narrative. These same critics often point to Trump's conflicts with certain media outlets. It's true he argued loudly with them, but what they ignore is that many of those outlets targeted him first. They attacked his character, twisted headlines, and pushed stories aimed at undermining not just his agenda but his entire presidency. His responses weren't attempts to silence free speech, they were reactions to constant hostility. The real threat, according to many observers, wasn't a president arguing with the press. The deeper danger was a political movement that seemed increasingly willing to punish its own citizens for expressing unpopular thoughts. Silencing disagreement is far more destructive than a public fight between a leader and the media.
But in the words of that great Brit Ricky Gervais, if you don't believe in a person's right to say things that you might find grossly offensive, then you don't believe in freedom of speech. You shouldn't have to eat your words at the airport. The chicken Alfredo on the flight was bad enough. So, Linehan may be crude, but there's plenty of non-crazy people, liberal people, who think the left has gone a little mad with trans issues. Some have expressed that opinion with literary sophistication, like J.K. Rowling. Some by getting big laughs, like Dave Chappelle. And some are downright ugly about it, like Linehan. But ugly is the price of a freedom so great as speech.
Feeling offended is part of living in a free country. When you value free speech, you accept that people will say things you dislike, disagree with, or even find annoying. That is the cost and the strength of open expression. Of course, free speech has limits. It doesn't protect threats, violence, or targeted harassment. However, it absolutely does protect political disagreement, challenging opinions, and ideas that make us uncomfortable. What it does not support is the growing trend of trying to erase people from society simply because they see the world differently. Disagreeing is normal. Wanting someone's job, reputation, or relationships destroyed because of an opinion is not. That isn't accountability. It's a form of control that hides behind claims of moral goodness. A healthy society focuses on debating ideas, not punishing individuals. It allows room for nuance, for different interpretations, and for meaningful discussion. Cancel culture, on the other hand, treats every disagreement as a personal attack and every alternative viewpoint as a reason to isolate someone completely. Real freedom of speech means defending the right to say things we dislike just as strongly as we defend the ideas we love. If we only protect approved opinions, then we don't have freedom at all, we have silence shaped by fear. At the heart of all this is a simple truth: a society that refuses to tolerate different viewpoints cannot call itself free. Holidays, family dinners, and political conversations shouldn't turn into battlefields where one side demands total agreement. Respecting different perspectives, encouraging honest discussion, and refusing to cancel people for thinking differently are essential pieces of a working democracy. Thanksgiving reminds us that gratitude, human connection, and open dialogue matter far more than outrage. Freedom survives only when we choose to protect it together.